And today is March 17th, Sunday, 2024. I am still your guest host for the Captain Jack Rackham Network. My name is Angelo Reyes. You all at the Raider Nation know me as Raider Transplant. I will get into that story a little bit. But again, the reason why I wear the green Raider hat is because my life was saved 20 months ago this weekend by a liver transplant and the sacrifice of my donor and his family. So I want to thank you all today for joining me on this great Sunday night. I'm very, very excited to do this show. I only have 3 Sundays left. So for the last 2 months since the Super Bowl, for all of you who have been following the Captain Jack Rackham channel and Captain Jack Rackham Network and the Roku channel and everything else, I really appreciate all your kind words, all your support about organ donation. I truly appreciate all of you guys. With 3 Sundays left for me, this Sunday I want to make it special, and I thought, how can I make it even more special than actually bringing 2 generations of Raider Nation into the show? So, I'm going to bring in a dad or a father and a son combo. The son is actually quite spectacular. He doesn't like to brag about himself, but this guy played really high level football. Professional football wasn't in his cards, but this is a guy who played, was actually at one point even better than Tyler Algieri, who's part Filipino for some of you who don't know. So it's a Filipino brother of mine. This guy's so talented. He's even done rap music and other things, but I'm going to let him talk about it. But I got to know him through his really popular YouTube channel that he does a lot of Raider Nation content for, and it's the Raider Rundown. So today I'm bringing you guys as a guest Papa Rundown, his father, and the Raider Rundown. And I want to bring him in for all of you who may not understand what it's like to be a Raider Nation football fan. There's 31 teams, and then there's only one Raider Nation, and it's a very different experience. So without further ado, let me first bring in the man that I just can't stop bragging about, and today I actually get to interview him, which is going to be so fun for me. So fun. So here he is, Mr. the Raider Rundown himself. There he is. Can I give a shout out to Panama?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No. I mean, like I listened to your beat today, but can you kind of talk about that a little bit? Because you are really talented. I can't believe how much talent you have, my friend. So please talk about it.
I appreciate that. He comes in, first and foremost, I want to say, we got the 2 generations here, right? And just like the older generation, he can't figure out how to work his phone. So I'm trying to go ahead and get him right now, right? I'm trying to get him together. But if you're talking about the rapping, it falls back to my pops again too, because he raps. You know what I mean? I remember, sitting on his lap when he was making songs and all that back in the day with my uncle. So even from the Raider thing and the rap thing, got it from him.
Where did you come up with that name? The Panama. Go ahead and say it to the crowd.
I'm half Panamanian, right? I'm half Panamanian. So I always want to go ahead and share roots to that as well. And then Fargo for me means forever a rebel going off beat. That's what it means for me, right? So it can either mean that or obviously Wells Fargo, one of the two, however you want to take it, right? Because the thing is money. But at the end of the day, that's how I look at it.
Wow. Panama. Okay. So now it makes sense to me. Panama Fargo. Yeah, no, the beat is really cool. And I mean, like, I'm not like a hip hop aficionado, but I did grow up within that region, that area. So I grew up in Alameda, California, which is basically that little island right next to Oakland, right? So easy to be a Raider fan. But yeah, I was listening to your beat earlier today on the Raider Syndicate show that you host. on Sundays, and I was like, oh, when I
Man.
finally end up having my own channel, man, I might have to call you up and be like, Panama
sure,
Fargo
man,
has got some bars. This is nice.
Man, hey, call me up. I can do a beat for you. I can do a whole song, whatever you need, man. Go ahead. We got it cracking.
Wow. Well, I know I was listening to your show earlier, and you were doing the Raider Syndicate show with Cheeto Linus and the Ultimate Raider, the Ultimate Raider fan 32, and that's Turf, who's going to be my guest here this next following Sunday, and we're going to get to talk about boxing and MMA, and I'm so excited about that. And then of course, man, we got to give a shout out to our guy, Chris Kimber, Protect the Shield podcast. My first show with him, I did 5.5 hours with him, Captain Jack, and Stuart Schweigert, and it got emotional. There were tears on that show. If you actually watch the last half hour of it, it got deep, man. We were talking about life and death, and it got deep. But speaking of life and the man that brought you into this world, let me see if I can actually get him on. And if I can, I'm hoping it works. One of these should work. Let's see. This is the Papa Rundown. One of these should be the one that's talking. Papa Rundown, can you hear us?
I can hear you guys.
Okay. All right. Okay. So he's using his phone, Rundown. He's using his phone so that we can hear him. And then I'm trying to get a nice image of him, actually. I don't know why the image isn't showing up. It's just here. But the good thing is we can hear him right now. So that's good. How you doing, sir? How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing fantastic. We're doing fantastic. Let me ask you a question, Rundown. Would it help you if you helped your dad out a little bit right now, and then I'll go ahead and go shout out some of the chat room crowd.
You
can help with some of the technical stuff. All right, we're gonna give the two generations a break, but don't worry, they'll be right back, everyone. All right, so let me go ahead and shout out everybody here. Thank you so much for joining again today. Let's see. Again, we have our special guest. Oh, wait a minute. Thank you. Salute. Tails by the Diesel. I appreciate you. Oh, Bishop's in the house. Thank you so much, Bishop. Hope you're having a beautiful, blessed Sunday, sir. All right, so Brian, Captain is in San Diego. He's sending pictures. He's keeping everyone up to date. Again, he will be back. He said he will be back on Thursday. So if you click on the Thursday night, 6 p.m., 9 p.m. Eastern show on this channel, the Captain Jack Rackham channel, then you'll be able to see him too. So don't you worry. He's coming back. He's coming back. Yes, sir, Bishop. Always. And thank you so much for all the kind words while I'm dealing, and all the prayers too, Bishop. I really appreciate it. While I'm still on the liver transplant recovery, as I always try to explain to everyone, transplant life is not an easy one, but it is a gifted one. It is a gifted life. So just blessed to be here with all of you guys tonight. Matt Marinovich. Hola, sir. Hola. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming in to spend some time with us. All right. Okay. Hey, it is what it is. Thank you. Oh man, everybody's showing up for Papa Rundown and Mr. the Raider Rundown. Countdown Luda, thank you so much. Thank you. So let's see here. Wow. Yes, sir. He is coming. We're just working on that technical difficulties. And wait, here's Papa Rundown right now, and he's moving. All right, this is great. And look at this. There it is. We got them both.
There we go.
We got them both. Touchdown.
It's the Rundown experience, man. It's the Rundown experience. We do it on the fly.
That's right. So Papa Rundown, now that I have you on, sir, can you tell us a little bit about, first of all, when I heard you on the Raider Syndicate show, that's on Sundays for all of you guys to watch. I believe 4 p.m. Pacific time is when it goes down on a Sunday. But Papa Rundown, I heard you say that, you know, you got into it in 83, which is, man, what a great time to get into it, right? Because they win the Super Bowl. And you bring your young man up. Tell us a little bit about how you even became a Raider fan. Was it your father that brought you in?
You know, actually, I have to give that credit to an uncle of mine. You know, as I said on my son's show a couple of weeks ago, I'm from Gary, Indiana. So, you know, up until that time, until we moved out here, until I was about 10 years old, I was a Chicago Bears fan. You know, and one January day, you know, my uncle decided, hey, you know, I got an extra ticket to the Raider game here at the LA Coliseum. It was a playoff game. And you know, you want to come? I'll never forget it, you know. It was I was 85. And
85, okay.
yeah,
so you were watching
it
on TV up to that point, then
yes.
You know, and then your uncle was like, hey man, you want to come to this amazing playoff game? I want you to talk about this, because most people don't realize, because every time you hear that year, 1985, and for all of you who are just listening in now and maybe are just I don't want to be rude in calling you a casual Raider fan, but there is a difference between being Papa Rundown and a historical reference of what he brings to the table as a true part of the Raider Nation, and then some of the fans who like the color and the silver and the black. But anytime you hear documentaries or you see this, they always talk about the 85 Bears, greatest defense ever, 85 Bears. But you know what, Papa Rundown, I want to hear it from you, because people forget that the Raiders won the Super Bowl in 83. We were still a very dominant force up to that point.
Very good team.
And I want to know, because you were there live. You were there live for this game. So please tell us about that day.
Well, you know, like I was saying earlier, it was one of those rainy LA, Januaries, and I'll never forget going into the LA Coliseum that day, and that was my first football game, my first experience, and I was just amazed by the energy. And first of all, I was just drawn to the colors as well. You know, it was just it was like a natural fit with the way the day was, and you know it. So I was just already starting to get a taste of that Raider spirit. You know what I mean? And you know, it was a hard-fought game that day. You know what I mean? You know, like I said, we had Marcus Allen and, you know, Jim Plunkett and all those guys, and you know, Mervin Fernandez, all those guys, but it just wasn't our day. You know what I mean? The Patriots made plays. You know, it was a close game, but they just stayed one step ahead of us that game. I was probably about 14 years old, you know, at that time. So it was a very vivid game, you know. And I remember the disappointment when we were leaving the stadium. And you know, it was just like, and it really wasn't my team then, but I just felt that disappointment. I was like, man, you know, it would have been nice to see him go. Because like I said, I was really, you know, my first experience was 83. You know what I mean? But then when I went to that Raider game, I was hooked. You know, after that, I was hooked. And ever since then, I've been a Raider fan. You know, it was a great experience, even though they lost that day. And like I said, that New England Patriot team actually went on to lose to the Bears in that 85 Super Bowl.
Yes, sir.
And I'll be honest with you. You know, I love the Raiders. You know, I bleed silver and black, but I don't think anybody would have beat that 85 Bear team. Not that year. I don't think anybody would have beat it.
Let me ask you this, because you are an expert on this subject, because you were actually there. You were there for that AFC.
It was a divisional game,
divisional battle in the playoffs against the Patriots, and the Raiders. I remember, and again, I can only speak for it as someone who, after I became a Raiders fan, I went back into history and I did what a lot of us do, which is to study the old, you know, from 60s to the 70s. So in watching that game, I was like, man, you know, the fumble, that punt return fumble, which I'm sure you kind of remember, you know, that really hurt us. But even in the fourth quarter, it felt like we had a chance.
Yes.
So wait, at 14, what were you thinking at that time? Like, what could have happened? What could have been
like I said, it was an emotional game. You know, like I said, that was my first football game. You know what I mean? That was my first live experience of the football game, but I do remember the emotion of that game. You know, I can't say I remember every single detail, but like you said, in the fourth quarter, it was very close. Like, you know what I mean? And it was a feeling like, okay, they're going to pull this out. And like I said earlier, you know, the Patriots just made a few more plays, like a few key third downs on, you know, on that final drive. You know what I mean? It just kind of put us away. But like I said, I just remember feeling that emotion and that disappointment, like because I just really felt the energy of this team. You know what I mean? Like I said, that '83 team, I remember that because it was like folklore. Watching that, when you see that highlight of Marcus Allen running and the interception, what's my man name? The linebacker.
Mike
It'll
Haynes?
come to me in a
Are you
second.
talking about Mike Haynes?
No, not Mike Haynes. Not Mike Haynes. It was a linebacker. I just got to remember his name. It might be Squarick if I'm not mistaken. But
All right.
yeah, but I remember that game, and those were like superheroes. I was watching that, and I was maybe about 10, 11 years old. Those guys were like superheroes, watching them play that game against the Redskins. So, when I got my chance to go to the LA Coliseum myself to see them, I was already familiar with the guys that were on the team, you know what I mean? But just watching that game in person just really cemented my fandom as a Raiders fan.
Wow.
That was my
I want to bring
introduction.
it in. I want to bring it to rundown, because then you told me on the pregame today when we were just in the green room, you said that you brought him to his first game at 5 years old in 2005, and I'm like, wow. I mean, those tickets weren't the cheapest tickets in the world to get over, you know what I mean, at the Oakland Coliseum, and that's where I lived. I lived in Alameda, so it wasn't like we could just freely go into the games, because it, still like it was a different feeling for sure. That crowd. But rundown at 5, what are your memories of walking into the Oakland Coliseum with your dad?
I say it like this, and he can attest to it. The minute, because everybody knows when you walk, you walk into the Coliseum, you can walk around, there's that point in that section where you finally walk up them stairs and you get there, and then everything opened up and the field is right there, right?
No doubt.
He can attest to it. As soon as I saw that logo and that field, it was over.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I didn't know who the players were.
That was an annual pilgrimage for us. You know what I mean? And it could have been 2004, 2005, one of those years. You know what I mean? But that became a tradition for us. You know what I mean? Like we would go to every opening home game. And as you guys know, back at that time, we weren't all that great, right? So my motto was always, we're going to go to the first game of the year where the enthusiasm is high and everyone feels like anything can happen, right? So, it's better than us being, 2-7 and, oh, okay, yeah, we got to go to, so at least there's optimism when we go, we're going to see something fresh. Maybe we catch lightning in a bottle, right? So it just became a tradition for us, you know what I mean? And we've seen some exhilarating highs and some very, very low lows.
Very lows.
Yeah.
So then let me ask you that then to you, the Raider rundown again, right there to my, I guess it would be this, or it would be this side. There you go, right? But tell me, rundown, because when I think about the years then that you became a fan because of your father bringing you there and having you feel that tradition of going to opening day every year. I mean, man, that's an amazing pops right there to do it as a tradition.
For sure.
2005. I mean, I'm trying to think, but I don't think you might have felt any success until 2016. I mean, that's a long time, man. That's a lot. That's a long time of hurting as a Raider fan, So tell me about growing up that way, because obviously at this point you're addicted to the football,
right?
And I know you don't like really bragging about the fact that you were quite the player back in the day, but I saw the tapes, man. When I do an interview, I do my research, and I gotta tell you guys because he'll never brag about himself, but
he's very modest when it comes to that.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't the plan for you to go to the pros, but based on what I saw, and there was even a little ESPN high school profile on you, you were quite good. You were very good over there at Fontana, California. Henry J. Kaiser, I believe, was the high school, and even on that senior year, man, you ran for, is it 2,200 yards, Pops? Is that what he ran for? 2,200 yards? Yeah, I mean, this guy, guys, look, when you listen to the Raider Rundown on his YouTube channel and all of his network, this is a guy who I like listening to a lot of his past episodes, because when he breaks the tapes down, he's coming from a standpoint of someone who actually played. And a lot of times it's, for me, coming from the boxing training world, in where I got to actually learn and understudy under the great Freddie Roach. And then later in my career, I learned from, the late, great, God rest the soul, Uncle Roger Mayweather. And when I talk to other boxing fans, but they never actually laced them up, or they didn't even try to go in the ring, it's a little different for me. And not that I don't like talking to them, but for me, because I'm a football fan, like it's something that I love to watch. It's something that brings me joy, even in the pains of being a Raider fan at times. When I get a chance to talk to someone like Rundown, who played the game at a high level, right? And even in college, I know he accomplished some things there too. I like when he breaks down the tapes, he's breaking it down from an intellectual athlete's level. And I can see his IQ is very high. So Rundown, what's it like? What was it like for you from age 5? And it's not until 2016 for you to see some success. Tell me about that feeling. Tell me about that.
Growing up in them times right there, you got any Raider memorabilia, any Raider thing on, you getting ridiculed at this point, right? Like it's to the point everybody's like, "Oh, you like the Raiders? They suck, bro." Like, but my pops could definitely attend. I'm stubborn. I don't care, bro. Like I like who I like, and I'm never gonna change that up to the fact. It's to the point people see me, my friends know that's part of my personality. You know what I mean? Like at some point, Raider stuff is gonna be on. We're all gonna talk about it. And I don't know. It's just like I said, when you first walk in that Coliseum, I can't explain it. And I'm sad for the Vegas people who can't really know this. When you walk in that Coliseum and see that opening to that field, and you get that field, you see that nasty dirt field in there, bro. Like it's I don't care, bro. It's nothing like it. Nothing. And I didn't care who the players were. It just the colors and the feel of it. It just feel like family. Like it just feel like it just feel right. You know what I mean? So
I'm so glad you said the word family, because I think that is one of the things that separates our fandom, is that when you're a part of the Raider Nation and everybody knows you're a fan. This recently just happened to me, and you'll enjoy the story, Papa Rundown. Literally a week ago, here in Las Vegas, because I'm a liver transplant patient, I have to be very careful about not only what I eat, but where I would eat, and keeping myself isolated, because as transplant patients, and if you guys have any friends or family members that are transplant patients, you have to realize we are all immune compromised. So if we get sick, we end up in a hospital, even if it's just a flu, right? So there's this ramen spot that we go to that we know the owners are from Japan. All the staff is from Japan. It's a small little spot, and it's the only place I'll go to where I feel pretty safe as a ramen spot. And I go to this place, Papa Rundown, and we always get this little same isolated corner. And in that isolated corner, there's only one seat left. So this guy walks in, and I'm scoping him out. I'm freaking out, Rundown. I'm like, I don't know, man. This guy might be sick. I don't know what's going on. And then I notice he's wearing a camouflage Raider. Yeah. So right away, Papa Rundown, I was like, oh, brother. Right? Yeah. Like I move my stuff. He sits down. I'm offering him my wings. I'm like, hey, man, what's up? And then we end up just talking about football. We end up just talking about Raiders of the past, what got him into it. The guy was from New York, but then he was coming all the way to Oakland just to watch those games, right? So right away, we get this family feeling. I left. I got his contact. Little did I know, check this out, Papa Rundown, that the guy I was sitting talking to was the grandfather, who's named Al Thompson. So if you see him in the Raider games, he's the guy that puts on the skull mask, and it looks professionally done. But Al Thompson, Rundown, if you look at his profile, is actually a major actor in Hollywood, and the last film he did is The Harder They Fall. So whenever you see or hear about the grandfather, he's actually and when you think about Raider Nation, it's the fandom is all walks of life. Doctors, nurses, actors. So it's really great that you said that, Rundown, because that Oakland Coliseum, man, there was definitely a very family feeling.
Different.
You know, I bet Papa Rundown, you didn't even feel like when you had your little guy there that with the Raider Nation there that they would watch over him too.
Oh, it's I'll give you a quick little anecdote, right? Like I said, I was indoctrinated to the Raider Nation in Los Angeles, right? And I also, I started going to the games myself at right around 89. I started going myself, you know what I mean? So the culture that Antonio Pierce is talking about, that Raider culture, I'm very familiar with that Raider culture and the way he explains it and the way he describes it. You know what I mean? But I say that to say that the atmosphere between Los Angeles and Oakland was so different. It was so different. You know what I mean? When we were going to Raider games in those late 80s, early 90s, there was a significant gang culture. You know what I mean? It was a real thing back then. You know what I mean? And you very much felt the association of the city, intertwined with the Raiders. You know what I mean? So that was a don't get me wrong, they were a passionate fan base. We were a passionate fan base then. But when I went to Oakland, that's when I felt the real spirit of the Raiders, in my opinion. Honestly, in my opinion, that's when I felt the real, because once I went to that first game in Oakland, I'll never forget that game. It was either 2004, 2005, but we got killed by Denver in that game. I remember that was the first time we had ever went to the Oakland Coliseum, and like I said, he was a shorty, and we took him, and it was raining that day. But it was just like the experience was just, my first time being in Oakland, us catching the flight up there, kind of stepping out of our zone, you know what I mean? So
did you take the BART? Did you go from the airport to the BART?
Yep. Yes, we did. We took the BART, you know what I mean? And back then no one was, it wasn't a whole lot of GPS and this and that, so that was our first time being in the Bay Area. So, it was for us, we got a chance to kind of navigate around and stuff like that. And the city grew on us. But as I was saying, I was alluding to, that culture that I experienced in Oakland made me really understand who the Raiders really were, because I only knew them from Los Angeles, but when I went to and I took the family to Oakland, that's where we really became indoctrinated into that Raider Nation. You know what I mean? Because the feel and the passion, I always told people, even though I came from LA, I always told people that the Raiders belong to Oakland. The Raiders will always belong to Oakland.
That's
what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, they'll always belong to Oakland, because I kind of get a little emotional talking about it. It's just because.
No, I want you to. Papa Rundown.
Honestly,
in fact,
even
explain it to me, right? Because growing up in that area, and it's very easy to become a Raider fan especially if you grow up right there, right? And you don't care about, like Rundown said, I experienced that myself when I got my first Raider starter jacket. I'm going to middle school, and then when they did poorly, then everybody would go, "Bro, you suck," wearing a Raider jacket, and but that's all right, you rock with your team no matter what, right? So speak to that though. Speak to that part, because now that we have these Las Vegas fans, and the ticket prices are the highest in the entire NFL. Okay.
Yeah.
But talk to us about that feeling, that heart you're saying about the Oakland Raider fan and why the Raiders belong to Oakland.
Yeah, it's just that. I mean, when I was going to the LA Coliseum, we walk up to the box office on Saturday of the sports arena and buy $15 tickets. Me and his mom, when we were dating. So, it was. And we didn't feel that, when you're walking into the stadium, there's a certain feeling of, this is our team. And, we had that in LA to a certain extent, but not the way it felt in Oakland. It was like you were actually going to battle with this team. And sometimes I think that, a lot of teams have rabid fan bases, the Steelers, you know what I mean? all the great teams out there. Green Bay, they have rabid fan bases as well. But I don't know. I'm probably not in the minority here, but I know that for some reason it feels like Raider fans feel special. Like we feel like our fandom is more dedicated than any other fan base in any other sport. I know I feel that way, and it's the energy that this team. It's almost like a for the people team. Everything that they do always feels like it's for the people. Look, just look at how Mark Davis. It felt like we are the ones that got Josh McDaniels out of here. It felt like we got him out of here. You know what I mean? Because he listened to us, and there's not a lot of teams that I feel like do that with their fan bases the way that Mark Davis did that with us. It feels like our voices are always heard as Raider fans. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain pulse of the team that the fans have with the team and vice versa. And you just don't get that everywhere. You know what I mean? Like we can talk Raiders every single day. So any person that's on here right now will tell you, oh, I can talk Raiders every day. Monday through Sunday, I can talk Raiders every day, and it never gets old. It never gets boring because we are literally sometimes living and dying with this team. And I ask myself sometimes, what would I do? What are we going to do when we do win a Super Bowl? Because we've been on this quest for so long,
I can only, you know what? That's a great thing for you to say, Papa Rundown, because I see Rundown's face. And from the time, like, again, if 2016 is the last time he even from 05 to 016, pretty much from birth, he's never really seen that success. Rundown, if the Raiders win if the Raiders make it to the playoffs next year, if the Raiders just make it to the playoffs and your dad goes, son, we're in the playoffs, I'm going to bring you and mama and we're going to Vegas.
What?
We're going to go see Raider Transplant in Vegas. We're going to the playoffs.
Yes, sir.
Rundown. Break it down what your feeling would be for it.
That is something different. And like this is why I always argue with Chris, Leo, and Turf on my show. And when we do the shit stuff, that success hard to be like so to the playoffs. It's like okay, that competitive feeling. Like I finally know what it feels like to have your team in this high stake moment. This is the thing, as you say, like,
hey, real quick. 831 Raiders saying, "Hey, Rundown, one of y'all might is cracking." So I don't know which one it is.
Yeah, that was a minute ago. I think I fixed it so far. I think I fixed it since then.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, but y'all let me know if I didn't. But definitely, I think I fixed it since then. But just speaking on that, it's like. Knowing what I like, the Cincinnati playoff game, I didn't really have that type of feeling because to me, I feel like we squeaked in a little bit. Now, 2016 was a heartbreaker for me. That was the year for me where I'm like, we had our chance to do something at least. But if we were to win a Super Bowl, I've told everybody already. I don't want to hear. I'm crying. I'm shedding literal tears. I don't care what anybody says about me, bro. I'm gonna shed literal tears like I played. I don't understand why that would people would look at me weird for that or whatever the case, but I don't care, bro. Like the way I feel about this team, and like you said, it just feels different because of the no success, right? Like, and all my friends from childhood to now can tell you, like, he has never liked another team. Never. He has always wore the same colors. I've always had either black or something silver on, always. So even when we won 2 games, even when we won 3 games, either like I was cheering for us when we were winning. I remember what's the year we beat Kansas City with Latavius Murray and them, and it was raining that year, and we won 2 games that year.
That was Khalil Mack and Derek Carr's rookie year.
I was celebrating that game right there, like we were in the playoffs. Yeah. That was that was an amazing feeling. But it don't matter to me. So if we were to make the playoffs, it's gonna be an amazing feeling. But to win a Super Bowl, that right there, that just feels like it's an extra.
Yes, indeed.
Well, you could feel the passion on tonight's episode. You could feel it from Papa Rundown. You could feel it from you, the Raider Rundown. And since we're talking this way, and I like I was telling you earlier in the pregame, in the green room, Papa Rundown, that I had to give a bit of a historical lesson to a lot of people about 4 weeks ago on the Wild Wild West show here at the Captain Jack Rackham channel on 4:30 on Wednesday, and I kind of talked about how even myself, where when I became a Raider fan, I was born in the Philippines. I came here in '85 when the People Revolution was happening. I don't know if you remember seeing that in the news, Papa Rundown, about the revolt happening in the Philippines. So, so I came here during that time. And in '86, 86, Nintendo was a thing, right? And then '87, then 1987 comes along. And a guy by the name of Bo Jackson gets picked up as the number 7 pick, right, sir? So then, already having grown up in Alameda, obviously you see the colors, and then, here I am. As I'm starting to grow up, I'm becoming this Raider fan. But then Tecmo Bowl comes out.
Yes, sir.
And now I'm understanding how football is and the joy of football, right?
Yeah.
And in this joy of football, I'm like, oh, wow, Bo Jackson. So then by the time we get to 88, 89, so speak to that, because you were actually there when we picked up Bo Jackson. You tell us and all the younger generations who's talking about Devin A-Chain and all them these other, they don't know Bo. You tell us, Papa Rundown, about Bo.
No, look, I'll be honest with you, and a lot of times, people say, well, you guys will glorify your era or glorify the players that you like, but I've been a sports fan for a long time, and I've never seen a man that big run that fast. Like, as just a pure, maybe one cut and go, or if he just sees the lane, he's out of here. He didn't have as much, side to side, but this man was the fastest human being I've ever seen run with the football. And for him to be 240 pounds, 235 pounds, and for him to run the way he did was amazing. These are the LA Coliseum days where, I literally watched him. One game they were playing Denver. I forgot what year it is, maybe 89 or 90, but they were playing Denver. And forgot the name of the safety that got in his way when he took when he took a dive up the middle, and the safety squared up on him. And I literally saw Bo Jackson completely run this man over frontwards, face first, and stepped on that man and kept going. I've never seen anybody hit someone like that with a football with those kind of intentions and just explode after that. I was at the game where he actually got hurt. They had played Cincinnati the week before, and it just so happens that they played him again in the playoffs. He got hurt in that playoff game, but he dominated the game.
Wait, hold on. Stop for a second, Papa Rundown, because you are really exciting me. I remember saying to myself, oh, man, I hope Bo Jackson's okay. And I'm watching that game against Cincinnati in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
You were there?
I was there.
Papa Rundown?
Yeah, his mom, goodness, I was there with his mom. I was there with his mom, yeah. Wow. Yes, sir, yeah. So, that was like I was saying before, he had dominated the week before against the Bengals. And he had ran like, I forgot what he put up, but he was amazing the week before against them. So the next week they come back and they play him again in the playoffs, and he's doing his thing again. You know what I mean? Like he hits the corner. You know what I mean? And boom, he's next thing you know, he's down the field like 75 yards, and then he hits him again. And on that second one, when he broke that second one, you know what I mean? It looked like just a regular tackle, and he never came back in the game again. I could tell, we were all just deflated because that was a really good football team with Bo Jackson. You know what I mean? He only played a brief period of time, but he dominated. He was a dominant back, exciting back. Like I would always say, every time he touched the football, everyone stood up. He's the only player I ever seen that every time he touched the football, everyone in the stadium stood up.
So let me ask you this: when you watching that team, if we could go back in time and Bo Jackson never gets tackled the way he got tackled. And for some of you who are just listening now, and we've been talking about Bo Jackson, the legendary Bo Jackson. Many books and many documentaries have been written about this sports star. I grew up young seeing the Bo Knows commercials, and it was so popular. It was such a big deal. But Bo Jackson in 1991 went to the playoffs, the very game that Papa Rundown was on. And when he got tackled, he runs so hard that his actual thigh bone came off of the hip. And he developed a disease that I'm actually familiar with, because as a transplant patient, it's one of the things that we could get. It's called avascular necrosis. And that's when the blood flow that goes through your hip no longer starts to come. And unfortunately, Bo Jackson needed a hip replacement, which is what happens to a lot of us as a transplant patient.
And it looked like a regular tackle. It looked like a regular tackle. You know, we just thought, okay, you know, because he kind of limped off, and you know, we're saying to ourselves, okay, he's got to be back in. You know, we're waiting on him to come back in, and there's no internet or anything like that at that point. You know, so everybody's just kind of looking over towards the sideline to see if he's coming back. You know, and unfortunately, he never came back, and that was a sad day, man. You know, and it affected the Raiders, because the next week they went on to lose to Buffalo. I think it was the AFC Championship game, and they lost 51-3.
That's correct, sir.
You know, and you know what's funny? You want to know what's funny about that day? So we go down to the tunnel after the game was over, right? Because the Raiders won that game against Cincinnati despite Bo, you know, getting hurt. So everyone's down in the tunnel, looking to, you know, because the players would walk through the tunnel down at the bottom of the LA Coliseum. So, you know, you can see them as they're walking by going to the locker room. And I'm standing down there. Ironically, you know, Magic Johnson, you know, passed by there. Also, the members of NWA, Eazy-E, you know, Dr. Dre, all those guys, the DOC. It was a lot of celebrities down there as well. So that's why I always speak to the Antonio Pierce Raider culture, because that's what that was at that time. You know what I mean? We're all standing down there to see what happened to Bo Jackson. So Bo Jackson, he's on a cart, and they're wheeling him to the locker room in a cart. And so, you know, somebody goes, "Hey, Bo, you think you're going to play next week? You know, you think you're going to play it?" And he's riding along, and he goes, "You bet your ass I'm going to try." I never forget that. You know, that's what he did. You know, Bo goes, "You bet your ass I'm going to try." You know what I mean? And, you know, it never materialized, but everyone was like, "Oh, okay, you know, we might have a chance here," because Buffalo was good. That was a good Buffalo.
Oh, yes,
team.
sir. No, I was gonna actually tell you that so during this time when that happened, and I had to give this history lesson again on that same show, where when there are people like that Lombardi character, right? People forget that when it comes to the Raider Nation history, that the same scenario already happened to us before Rundown was even born. We had Mike Shanahan for 1.5 years.
Yep.
And then Art Shell took over as the interim. Yes, in the very year you're talking about, Papa Rundown, Art Shell won 12 games that year, took us to the playoffs. And I remember this because I was going into my freshman year of high school at Encinal High in Alameda, California. Okay. And I thought we were going to make it too with Bo Jackson. I was like, "Oh, we're going to the Super Bowl. We are." And then of course we got destroyed 51-3. And then that whole 4 years of my high school life was me watching the Raiders always losing to the Bills.
Yes.
Somehow, some way, whenever we had a chance.
You know, that like I said, that was a good Bills team. You know, Jim Kelly, Andre Thurman, you know what I mean? They had some Thomas Thurman and Andre Reed.
Yeah,
Thomas Thurman, Andre Reed, Bruce Smith.
The same Bills that couldn't win a Super Bowl?
Yeah. But the fact that they made it to 4 Super Bowls in a row. And you also, like Bruce Smith, you remember Papa Rundown, right?
Oh, Bruce Smith was a monster.
Oh,
Daryl Talley, the linebacker.
I mean, really, like when we talk about like a Max Crosby now, back then, Bruce Smith was like that guy.
He was unblockable. He was right there with Reggie White at that time. You know what I mean? Charles Haley, all of those, you know, wonderful, deep, you know, just amazing football players. You know what I mean? Watching those guys, and don't get me wrong. Today's guys are, bigger, stronger, faster, but it's always something to be said for that dominance that those sack leaders still of today. Those guys are still carrying those sack numbers in the all-time records right now. You're talking about some of the greats of the greats.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, but yeah, those Bill teams were they had some weapons. They were a very modern. They would function really well right now.
Yes,
they used to run. They used to run that K-gun offense, and Jim Kelly would. They were doing a lot of the concepts that they're running right now.
Yes,
so they were kind of ahead of their time.
Yeah, no, and I was gonna say a rundown because I know it's feeling like a history lesson in a way, but but rundown. Look, listen, part of the reason why for this running back segment, and I'm gonna stick on to this, is you actually played that position at a very high level, and I really appreciate how I know you played DB too. So when you're breaking down some of these tapes, you're seeing it from that eyes of a person who actually grabbed the ball, saw the hole, hit the hole, whether it was outside, and I saw a lot of your outside runs, man, running like a little David A-Chain, runs. I got to say that name because some of you youngsters don't know some of the old names that Papa Rundown's talking about. But yeah, you definitely had some Thurman Thomas in you, wouldn't you?
This guy right here was a bad man. He was he doesn't talk about it a lot, but he was a bad man. He made his dad proud. I'll tell you that much. Careers don't have to be defined by being an NFL Hall of Famer at the end. You know what I mean? You have to be able to appreciate the journey that you go through with someone. And when they do have a level of success, you have to be able to revel in that level of success that you achieve, because there is something that you put into it. And, I want to give my son props just because I watched him put in a lot of hard work and achieve a lot of things. I mean, I was just going through some things in the garage, cleaning my garage, and I ran into his trophy case, and I just kind of went back and just looked and said, wow, my son accomplished a lot, and I'm proud of him for that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, I totally hear you because it was so hard to find. I had to watch so many episodes of the Raider Rundown to finally kind of piece it together, and then he wouldn't even give it to me. I was like, hey man, your name's Joshua, right? And then Rundown wouldn't answer me back, and I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna research this guy.
Yeah.
And no, everybody, man, I'm telling you, Joshua Johnson was quite the player. And Henry J. Kaiser, their high school, Fontana, and even in college, and he's blushing right now because he doesn't like to brag about it. So I'm not going to put him on the spot, but sure. I am going to ask him about his expertise because it's real about running backs. Me and your dad, we're talking about Bo Jackson, right? And we're talking about these old schoolers. But right now, did it feel weird to you that we did not address running back? I mean, and based on your opinion, having played that position, right? Is Zamir White the guy? Is Britton Brown from UCLA? If for the people who don't know, just watch the Britton Brown tapes from UCLA. Because I don't think you would tell me that Amir Abdullah, who's just really there as a third down veteran presence, and a Sincere McCormick, I don't think is the guy. So based on your opinion, Rundown, like what are we doing? What is the Raiders doing at running back?
I understand, people's anger, if that's what you want to say, towards not signing Josh. And to me, you can ask I love Josh. I loved Josh, and I actually, I hope he does well. And I do think when healthy, he is a top 5 running back in the league. But I also know it from a standpoint of saying this, right? If I was to go back in time, if I had any choice to do what I would have played corner. I would have said, and my dad kept telling me that I would have played corner, and this is why. The value of running backs in today's NFL is decreasing by the season. If at this point, what the Raiders, I believe, are doing, I think Zamir can be capable of being your number 1, but he's not going to be asked to be the centerpiece of the offense like how Josh was asked to be. I believe right now what they're going to try to do is a running back by committee. Yeah. We're going to see them draft a person. You know what I mean? We're going to see them draft a person. And the person that they draft preferably should be opposite of Zamir's skill set, right?
Who would that be, Rundown, in your opinion? If we are drafting, what round should that be, and who would you want for us to draft?
Now, I don't think you start entertaining that until round three
and after.
4 and after. Yeah, 3 and after. You don't start entertaining that until 3 and after. But me personally, I'm a guy. I like that dude from Oregon. I like Bucky Irvin. I've talked about Bucky Irvin a lot. I think if he comes here, his skill set definitely kind of would mix a little bit from what, Zeus can do. I also like the guy from Tennessee, Jalen Wright. I think his skill set can really match.
That guy could be the next Todd Gurley. That guy was pretty good.
You know what? I like Blake Corum myself. I think he's a mini Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, no, you know what, Papa Rundown? The only reason why I took him off of my board is because Harbaugh loves Blake Corum so much. He will reach for that kid. He will literally trade back up to the second just to go get Blake Corum.
I agree.
So we're not going to get a chance to get him anyways.
Yeah, but I do. You know what? I watched him the last couple of years, and he just gave me Josh Jacobs vibes. He gave me Jacobs vibes. I really like that kid. He's another heart and soul kid. Running back is near and dear to my heart. But yeah, I like him.
That's why I'm keeping this GA Patriot. Thank you so much. I really we all really appreciate this, and I'm sure Captain Jack really appreciates you doing that. But he says Marcus Allen was my childhood hero. I had a resentment against Bo Jackson for years. That's how much Marcus Allen meant to him, right?
Now, can I say this?
Yes,
I didn't mean to cut you off, but can I say, look, yeah, Bo was the most dominant, but when you ask me who my favorite running back of all time is, it's Marcus Allen. Like I said, I talked about it already, the run against the Redskins, you know what I mean? My son always gave me Marcus Allen vibes, just on the level of instinct and feel for the game. Marcus had some of the best instincts for running back that I've ever seen. I rarely saw Marcus take a hit. I rarely saw Marcus get up and limp off. Like it was almost like he would glide through the line of scrimmage. He just had a beautiful running style. You know what I mean? Like it almost looked effortless with him. And he was ahead of his time as well when it comes to running with the football. Marcus Allen could throw the football. Marcus Allen, if he wanted to play DB, he probably could have lined up and played DB. That's what kind of a graceful athlete Marcus Allen was.
Is that why you even let your son play that DB position?
Yes.
You felt like
you
could do both?
Yes. My like I said, my son had really good instincts. My son I don't think he ever played over 180 pounds. I saw him carry the football 43 times one game. You know what I mean? And he just never took big hits. He had instincts at the line of scrimmage. Those are the things that Marcus Allen had. It didn't look like he was running the fastest, but it was just his vision and the way he could contort his body. You know what I mean? So Marcus Allen, hey,
you know what, Papa Rundown, like your passion for when you talk about your son, and I understand he's your son, but like I said, I don't do interviews without doing my research, and I did.
Yeah.
I saw the few tapes that are out there, and the kid Joshua Johnson, everybody look good, man. He looked real good on them tapes. Yeah. But Papa Rundown, it might be something you might want to do, where you might want to start sharing some of these tapes to maybe on the Raider Rundown YouTube channel, and
I sure will.
And maybe you can go ahead and you know what, I got to tell you, Rundown, and I know you're younger than both me and your pops, but I think that if you did some episodes with your dad, it would be really an amazing thing, because your dad has so much football knowledge and he has so much Raider knowledge that a lot of people would love to listen to Papa Rundown. And then the way your dad talks about how you played, man, it really brings to light what I was saying about why I wanted to get you on the show while I was still hosting, because you actually can dissect these players based on what you see. And a lot of times there's just talking heads, and not that I don't respect it. It's just that I like to hear it from someone who actually carried that rock. I want to hear it from somebody who can tell me, so how did that hole open? Right. So when you're talking to me then, Rundown, about those, who were drafting, it sounds to me like you're saying highest you'll go is the 3rd round, and then you'll you'll probably want to go 4th round or something
Maybe
else.
Maybe fourth for me.
Probably fourth. Yeah,
Would run down
fourth and yeah.
From the combine or the tapes that you saw run down, did you see someone like an Isaac Garendo worth taking? Did you see maybe like an Audric Estime, maybe, like anybody stand out? Because even Frank Gore Jr. balled out at the Shrine Bowl.
And that's my thing. I agree with that. And that's where I want to point that out. I think anything from 4th round and on, it's gravy. And what I mean by that is like, look at where Alvin Kamara got drafted. Look at it, like, and I know he's decreased over the past couple years, but at the end of the day, still, like he's a very, very productive running back. You know what I mean? You don't have to draft somebody in the 1st round, 2nd round for them to be very, very productive. You know what I mean? And what round was Frank Gore drafted in? Now I'm not even thinking about it. I think Frank Gore wasn't a high draft pick, if I'm not mistaken. I like his son as well. His son, I think, can be good as well in the right system. It all just depends which system you go in and if that system works for you. Like, for example, the system we're about to run with Luke Getsy and Zamir White complements that skill set perfectly. Zamir White will be able to run the system. You know what I mean? So it just depends on what running backs that we have. There is a guy, I agree with my guy Cowtown in the comments. I seen we talk about Ray Davis. I like a guy like him as well. I believe he has that skill set to work in this Luke Getsy type of offense. So I'm looking at guys with fits, but those are guys I think still 4th round and on, you'll be able to find somebody with talent. It's just about being able to select who's better for your team at that point.
All right. No, I love it. I love it.
Shout out Matt Marinovich. Walter Payton was a beast. I saw that on the comment. Yes, he was.
Yeah, no,
can't take that away from my Walter Payton 3-4.
I promise you guys, keep commenting. Please press those like buttons. Subscribe if you haven't yet. But we are paying attention to it. It's just that when I'm interviewing people, and you guys know this, I get so into the guests because I get excited by Papa Rundown. I get excited by the Raider Rundown. So guys, not just because I'm not acknowledging what you're saying doesn't mean not everybody's looking at it. We're all looking at your comments and we're trying to address it all.
Yeah.
So with that said then, and I think that, again, continue to watch the Raider Rundown YouTube channels and networks because the young man here is going to continue to break down those players. I know he'll break down defensive backs, which if we have a little bit of time before the end, I'm going to ask him a question about that. So get ready, Rundown, for my surprise question about defensive back.
Ready.
But the big news this week that just happened yesterday is no Justin Fields. And when you look at the title of this episode, it said, the way we put the title is Raiders only, no Justin Fields ? And then we went ahead and signed our big boys back, which is John Jenkins and Adam Butler. So obviously we're keeping to the attitude of we're going to re-sign our own and we're going to keep our own and we're going to develop our own, much like what you've talked about in the past, Papa Rundown. Let's not sleep on who we got in the roster because we got a lot of good players. But I want to hear from both of you, and let's start with you, Papa Rundown.
Okay.
The fact that they didn't even offer a 4th rounder for Justin Fields, it's surprising to me. It was surprising. So what do you think, Papa Rundown?
I'm not going to lie. I've been looking, I'm sure we all look at Bleacher Report. We all, get our Raider content from everywhere, and it's such a mixed bag when you talk about Justin Fields. Some people just can't. Thank you, Cool Kev. But some people, they don't want him. Some people, they want him. And I was in the camp that wanted him. I said, you know what? Why not give this kid a shot? Because we see that he's an NFL level playmaker. No one's saying that he has to be Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Pat Mahomes. No one's saying that. Everything I was saying about Justin Fields was we can add him to what we already have. And there's something to be said about philosophy, team attitude. Chicago has never been known for being a great, offensive juggernaut in any era. You know what I mean? Like, quarterbacks pretty much go there to die. Name me one quarterback. You know what I mean? That's really done anything in the Chicago Bears uniform.
Rex Grossman at least made it to the Super Bowl, right?
You know, I mean, but they, you know, even they made that on the strength of that defense, a very turnover opportunistic defense. Devin Hester returning kicks. It was one of those. It was one of those years, you know. But Justin Fields offered the dynamicism that we have been looking for in a quarterback. We've been wanting, we've been clamoring for, because now everyone's so enamored with, oh, how does he read the defenses and how does he do this and how does he do that? You can design an offense built around a philosophy to help this quarterback succeed. And so I felt like we just missed out on an opportunity, at least to kick the tires on the kid, bring him in. You're only paying him like $2 million this year. If you don't want to pick up the fifth-year option, oh yeah, look, we swung and missed it, you know, but at least we tried. I'm in the camp of I love Aiden O'Connell.
Papa Rundown, I can feel from your voice that you really would have wanted. So how high would you have offered to get Justin Fields? Would you have offered our third-round pick to get Justin Fields?
You know what? Maybe early on I probably would have, but as his price was going down, his value was going down. What did the Steelers end up getting him for?
So this is the way it worked. From what I understand from the reports that I've seen through Tom Pelissero and Mike Garofalo and everybody else, that the deal was they called the agent. 4 teams were interested. They didn't say which teams were interested, but when the Steelers came to play, Justin Fields said, I want to go play for the Steelers. The offer was a 6th rounder that turns into a 4th rounder, right? Okay. As long as Justin Fields actually completes 51% of the games. So technically speaking, if they were to play Russell Wilson for 8 games, and then in the 8 games, Russell Wilson goes 2-6, and then all of a sudden they play Justin Fields the rest of the year, and then they make it to the playoffs, then that Justin Fields trade becomes a 4th round pick.
And guess what? I'll be honest with you. I can already see them having a package for Justin Fields, regardless if Russ is starting or not. You know, I don't see him holding the clipboard, you know, for the whole season. They're going to get him on the field somehow. You know, I'm sure he was promised that. I'm sure they talked to him about that. But like I said, no, what we have in our quarterback room, and don't get me wrong, you know, I've watched Gardner Minshew play some really good games. He's had some really good games. You know, I just don't think that he offers the same level of NFL playmaking. If you're gonna add someone with an Aiden O'Connell, and you're still looking to get out, maybe they wanted a veteran presence, maybe because we are going to get a quarterback in the draft. That's no mistake.
Wow, that's a big one. That's a big one, Papa, right now. You know what? Oh, hey, I want you to hold on to that thought because we're going to do a quarterback segment because I want to know which quarterback then you're thinking, because there's a lot of people that are now saying, well, the dream is gone and you know, they traded Justin Fields, so their dream's gone. So run down first.
I agree, Chili Pepper.
Quarterback, because that's going to be a whole segment. I want to hear from the Raider rundown on this whole Justin Fields thing, and would he have traded as high as even a 3rd round pick to steal him? What do you think?
So my take on it is, I said it from the jump. The day Luke Getsy signed his contract was the day that Fields' dream should have died. I don't understand why people continue to drag that on, because what we saw from Luke Getsy and Justin Fields wasn't necessarily successful when we saw it in Chicago. So what data would give us, you know, that this would be successful here? We'll have no data on that, right? So at the end of the day, I can only go on what the tape shows me. I can only go on whatever shows me. I can't figure out who it was in Chicago. I'm not going to bet that I'm going to bring him here and all of a sudden it's going to change from these 2 dudes. It just wasn't a mesh, you know? So the day we got Luke Getsy was the day I'm like, okay, we're probably not going to get Fields. Now, they might have kicked the tires on it, right? But I don't know. I don't think we were one of the 4 teams. I think honestly, it just never made sense. I think the dream of us getting the quarterback, I'm still going to hold on to my tiny hope, and we're going to see what happens after that. But you know, I just didn't think
remember we watched Chicago towards the end of last year, and we both looked at it and said, look, I wouldn't mind bringing that to the squad, because we did say that. Now I know what you're saying about Getsy. I understand that, but like I said, I forgot who just made that comment, but you're straight on point with it. Like, what offense ever works in Chicago? He was never going to work in Chicago. Show me a quarterback that's going to work in Chicago. I still need to see that. But
yeah, Bishop said that right here.
Fields Bishop, yes, you're right. Yeah, your spot on the money, Bishop. I just don't think that we would ever see. I don't know about Chicago, but I look at this. AP brings the best out of players. We've already seen that. Sometimes you just need to put your arm around someone, especially someone that has talent, like he did with Jack Jones, right? And so for a six-round conditional pick, why not roll the dice?
Because if I might interject, I would say because we still don't know if it was Getsy or not. We have no idea if Getsy is good. We assuming he's gonna be good. Because it could have been him, right? And now we look at Fields, and now it's like, oh, okay, he's cool. He might be cool, but Getsy's trash. At the end of the day, we still don't know if Getsy's gonna be good. So I don't want to bet on two guys at the same time where I'm like, I'm betting on our OC to be good, and I'm betting on our quarterback to be good. And I've already seen this mesh not work before. I don't know. It don't give me confidence, right? It just don't give me no confidence in it.
Man, this is a fire show. This is a fire episode.
Look,
Everybody in the chat room is getting fired up with all of you guys. And again, you got to remember to both Papa Rundown and the Raider Rundown here at the Captain Jack Rackham channel. I only got like a little less than an hour left, and I still got 2 segments I'm trying to
I got you. Hey, shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody, man, that's tuning in. I want to say that, man, I'm very new to this. I'm just now starting to, step into this realm.
Rundown, you need your own segment. Seriously, you need to be on the Raider Rundown show at least once a week. And
I know, man. I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it.
We're working on it, yeah.
All right.
He gonna get there because I want to give him like his own thing. He just got to get it. He got to get it.
You know what? I'm creating it right now so I can take credit for it. What happened? I want to see a Papa Rundown segment where he just schools all of us for like 20 minutes and just spanks everybody.
I can do that.
Understand?
I can definitely do that.
He's missing out on the money, man. He's missing out on the money.
Oh yeah, look. Like I said, it's coming, man. This is really fun. Like I said, this is something new to me. But just to see all of the interaction and like I said, Raider Nation is such a family. You know what I mean? Like to see people just sitting here on a Sunday, listening to Raider talk, man. I love it. Like I said, once again, salute to everybody, man. Shout out to everybody, man. I'm gonna keep trying to come to y'all with it, man. So, let's continue on.
Thank you, Papa Rundown. All right, so I'm gonna switch it over because I can already tell that topic could be one of those. Just tune into the Raider Rundown. I'm sure
it's quarterbacks.
They're gonna talk about this one some more, but I do want to stick to quarterback because that was one of my segments, and I want to bring this up, Papa Rundown, because here you are as a kid. You start watching in '83. You get to go to your first Raider game in the playoffs in '85 with the Raiders versus the Patriots. Right, classic game. 1987 in the 4th round, I wanted to bring this up to you. We picked up a kid quarterback by the name of Steve Berline, right? And Steve Berline, in my opinion, based on the historical studies I've done, and I did get to watch him, not a lot, not like you, but I did get to watch him. He got injured that first year, and then there was the whole kind of Mike Shanahan mess. But would you say that Steve Berline, if he could have turned out well, could he have been good? And Rundown might be laughing because I'm about to do this comparison, or because there are so many Aiden O'Connell haters. Do they think he's like? Because Steve Berline was pretty good in Notre Dame when he played for Lou Holt. So
Steve Berline was a good quarterback. You know what? Al handpicked Steve Berline. He likes Steve Berline, like you said. He had some injury problems early on, but he was a really good quarterback for us. You know what I mean? His problem was he couldn't stay healthy. I liked his skill set coming out of Notre Dame. And then we had to move on from him to Jay Schrader. But Steve Berline was a really good quarterback if he could have stayed healthy. He was he had some profile. I think he wouldn't play for the Cowboys as well.
That's correct, sir. So that's very good because it was I was in high school, and then I remember the Raiders traded Steve Berline to the Dallas Cowboys to be the backup for Troy Aikman. And then I'm so glad you brought that up. And trust me, Rundown, I promise you we will address the Aiden O'Connell thing, because I have been I got so much hate for defending Aiden O'Connell in my early shows with Protect the Shield, in the Protect the Shield podcast with my man Chris Kimber. In fact, let me shout him out right now, because if you guys aren't tuned in to the Protect the Shield podcast or the Protect the Shield network, and where this guy, he's got the Raider Syndicate, he's got Shield Squad, he's the hardest working man at Raider Nation right now, man. I mean, like, the guy's being a guest on everything, and I had to beg Chris to at least show up to my final show where I'm saying goodbye, because I do not have my own channel yet, on March 31st. So please tune in on March 31st when Protect the Shield comes on as my special guest. Anyhow, though, Protect the Shield, Chris Kimber can attest to the fact that I kept defending Aiden O'Connell since December, Papa Rundown. Since December. In fact, I was defending him so much, I even did a show in where I talked for 30 minutes on the stats between Russell Wilson and Aiden O'Connell and how Aiden O'Connell is better. In fact, Papa Rundown, I even did last week's show where I said, well, let's just go ahead and compare the 10-game to 10-game ratio between Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell, which is why I was saying I don't think it's going to be as easy as people think. Even though we paid Gardner Minshew more, I really don't believe that Aiden O'Connell is just going to give it up. I think that guy's studying right now. I think if you watch all of the Purdue tapes, when somebody says to me, well, he doesn't really move, he's kind of stiff in the pocket, that's because Josh McDaniels told him to be stiff in the pocket. If you watch them old Purdue tapes, though, you watch when he played against Michigan State, when Michigan State was 8-0 and he threw for over 500 yards, the escapability on this kid is there. It does exist. He ain't no Mike, but it exists.
Can I say something real quick? Okay. Aiden O'Connell, my son and I, after the disappointing last year, the 5-11 year, we started looking at quarterbacks, right? And so we were like, okay, remember we went down the list of every position, and we started at quarterback. And I think we looked at like 5 or 6 quarterbacks we kept our eyes on, right? Obviously the guys at the top of the draft was there, and Bryce Young and CJ Stroud and Will Levis. And, we just kept going around and around, watching YouTube, watching certain things, breaking things down. And then we got to Aiden. And for some reason, I kept saying, we got to Purdue. I kept saying, I like this kid. I kept telling my son, I like this kid. And I went back and watched it maybe like 3-4 times by myself. You know what I mean? And I just kept, for some reason, I just thought it was something about this kid. I liked the way he threw the football. And I watched him against teams like Michigan, Ohio State.
Ohio State. I was going to say that, Papa Rundown.
Yeah, so some of the top tier programs, I wanted to see how he threw the ball against them. And I walked away impressed with him. So when we drafted him, I was like, okay, let's see what this kid's got. Then everyone started saying, oh, well, he's got a little Tom Brady, mechanics. And, I didn't jump on that train, but I saw some traits that I liked in quarterbacks. And, and his preseason told us a lot. He was the best quarterback in the preseason in the NFL. That doesn't mean a whole lot, but it does show you that there's acumen there in a certain way, right? And then he also, at the end of it, he became the second best quarterback in that draft. He had the second best numbers.
Yeah. Papa Rundown, I just got to say this because this is so funny to me. So Leo, Cheeto Linus, he's got his own show too, everybody. So check out my guy Leo. I literally have a private text conversation with Leo back in January when he was trying to hate on me for backing Aiden O'Connell up. I just want to say it publicly right now because Leo likes to forget that I was the first guy that kept saying Fuaga. I kept saying Fuaga. Now everybody's Fuaga. And I'm like, man, I'm on record saying Fuaga back in December. So anyway,
okay, I got you. Roll with your guy.
And I understand what my pops be saying, man. I understand what my pops be saying, and a lot of people talk about Aiden O'Connell, and I understand that. And I'll be cool with that if we can't exercise an option to get a more dynamic player. I understand what people tell me. I understand. Aiden O'Connell does have the smarts. He does have all this. But just where I'm at right now, what I've seen teams do and how I've seen teams win in the NFL, you need somebody that plays that position that when on third down, if things don't go all the way right, he can make a play. Now, in Aiden O'Connell, I like him, and I feel like everything that he can do to change the dynamic of a play has to happen pre-snap. When most quarterbacks in the NFL, they make things happen post-snap, right? Like that's just where the play is going right now in the NFL. You have to make things happen, and if the play breaks down, I don't have any confidence that he's going to be able to do something if a play breaks down. That's just me.
Well, listen. Honestly, I kind of beg to differ because I feel like he's already shown an acumen for understanding what it looks like at the line of scrimmage. You know what I mean? Like he got us into some plays last year where his understanding level, you were like, okay, well, wait a minute. This kid is just kind of stepping in, but he's actually moving people around and understanding what the defenses are trying to do. Like, we always fall in love with the shiny new thing. We always fall in love with that. We want it to be a certain way, but I love a kid that's humble. One, the kid's been through some things. And like I was saying the last time I was on your show, son, the guys in the locker room love him. The coaches love him. I mean, when you get a Devontae Adams come and sign off on a kid like that.
Antonio Pierce loves him.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, so look, don't get me wrong. I still feel like we need to draft one. The more competition, the better. But like I tell everyone, I'm not going to count this kid out because I've seen enough out of him that lets me know that if he continues to work on his craft, he's an NFL level starter.
But I interject this as well. And
hold on, Rundown. I'm gonna let you talk about it, but hold on. I'm glad you said some of those key words too, Papa Rundown, because I can't even speak to Rundown about this because he wasn't really a fan yet when the whole I don't know to the gravity of how he felt about Jamarcus Russell. But for me, when everybody talks about the Raiders, they didn't have they don't have much luck in the first round. It always goes to Jamarcus Russell, but I'm just going to talk about my era of when I watched it.
Yeah, let me hear it.
Todd Marinovich as the number 24th pick in 1991. Everybody kept talking about because his dad was this amazing guru of health, and Todd Marinovich coming out sure looked like he was the real thing. So I don't like it. I freaked out when we start talking about first round quarterback.
Guess what? You know what? I was at some of those Todd Marinovich games. I saw some of those Todd Marinovich games in person as well. You know what I mean? Like, I think his first start, he brought us back from against Kansas City or something like that. You know what I mean? We pulled one out at the end, his first start, and and everyone was like, "Oh boy, we might have found one." You know what I mean, dude?
And then it was 2 years. Rundown. It was 2 years, and the mental, and between his dad and him, and this is where again we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar sports organization that's got to really do the research on mentally who this guy could be if we are going to draft a quarterback in the first round. Because do we really want to have a Ryan Leaf? But for someone like me who is a Raider fan, I don't want to have another Todd Marinovich. I sure as heck don't want the Jamarcus Russell thing to happen.
Well, but, you know what?
I go back even further. And Papa Rundown, can you tell me, because I thought Mark Wilson, when I look back in the old tapes, would have been okay-ish, but what happened there? Because Mark Wilson was picked first round number 15, and we're picking at number 13 right now.
I think he came out of BYU. Yeah, I think Mark Wilson came out of BYU, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
He was too turnover prone for me. You know what I mean? Like, he turned the ball over a lot. You know what I mean? He just kind of left a lot to be desired. That's why they moved on quickly, to Steve Berline, because, Mark Wilson was just he was just a marginal, NFL quarterback, kind of borderline starter when it all shook down. We depended a lot on our running game back then with with Marcus Allen. We still have really good defenses back then as well, but we didn't have that explosive passing game with Wilson. But go ahead.
So then, is there a quarterback? And because I definitely don't want Rundown to feel like I'm not giving him a chance to speak on what he wants to say. I'm gonna give him his flowers. But Papa Rundown, in your experience of, again, a person who is a Raider fan who got to watch Jim Plunkett, then he got to watch Mark Wilson get drafted in the first round. Then he got to watch Todd Marinovich get drafted in the first round. Then he got to watch Jamarcus Russell get drafted in the first round. Papa Rundown, being the OG that you are, is there a quarterback that you are willing to use the number 13 pick for this year? Is there anyone?
I would say that, just like everybody else, I'm intrigued with Jaden Daniels just because of the connection that he has with AP. I mean, if you look at this kid's senior season, I mean, who has a season like that? You know what I mean? And, he showed that, he can do it all. You know what I mean? And like I said, the AP connection, I would definitely want Jaden Daniels. But if I'm looking at that second tier, I'll be honest with you, my eyes don't lie to me. You know what I mean? I tell people all the time, your eyes won't, we can think with our hearts, but your eyes are going to tell you different because you're going to see it. And the way Michael Penix throws the football, that kid, it's a shame that, and I know people will probably crucify you for saying this, but if you feel like Michael Penix would be your guy, if they got him at 13, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't. Okay. Because honestly, you're talking about someone that you're looking at to lead your franchise for the next 10 years. And if that's what you feel when it comes to the position of quarterback, because guess what? How many first-round picks have we swung and missed on already anyway? Right?
Amen.
How many Alex Leatherwoods have we looked at? Damon Arnett's and on down the line.
We had one
Chris
year
Farrell.
where we picked 3 first-rounders and it didn't.
So you're gonna tell me. So you're gonna tell me if I said, you know what, this kid throws the football like Warren Moon. And if you guys don't know who Warren Moon is, go look him up. But he throws the football like a left-handed Warren Moon. One of the prettiest footballs you'll ever see. And I'm the type of guy that if that's the guy that you think has the potential to lead your franchise, go get him now. And if you want to trade back into the second round to do something else, trade back into the second round to do something else, because guess what? We all feel like right now we got a squad that's ready to go out there and compete. We don't even have a set quarterback. Raider Nation is already feeling like we're ready to go to war, and we don't even have a quarterback, right? So how's that?
Hey, run down. Go, because I love all the stuff your dad's slinging at everybody today. Please, man, press them likes. I loved Michael Penix. The only reason why I thought he would fall in the second round, when I saw that Texas game, I was like, Michael Penix, that's the guy. But anyway, go ahead, run down, because I don't want you to feel like you're just getting spanked. But go ahead, go.
People hear me talk all the time, so at this point, I'm enjoying the conversation. But my thing is, how can we be okay with trading back up into the first round to grab a quarterback and not just trading up to grab the dude you want? Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. So you're gonna do something as risky as drafting Penix at 13, and we all know that's risky. I'd rather just trade up and get the dude I want. Once again, like that. At the end of the day, I understand what we talk about with the first round quarterbacks, and this is coming from my perspective, right? Only quarterback with success I know is Derek Carr. That's it. I'm gonna be honest. That's the only Raiders quarterback I really know that's had any type of success that I've watched. For real. I remember all the ones before Derek Carr, and I remember that carousel before that. And I'm not trying to go back to that. That's my whole
okay.
I'm not the Jason Campbells and all that. No, I'm not. I don't want to do all that. At this point, I feel right, Daniels is the only guy that I would trade up for, though, only because of the synergy between him and AP. It just fits. And sometimes I think with football, we complicate things sometimes. I think we complicate things too much. Football is simple. Sometimes you need to look at it like it's simple. And sometimes if two things just work and look like it's going to work, why would you mess with that? And the last point I will say this with AP. This right here is like going to the casino for him. He's gambling with the future right now. He has no idea how this is gonna go. If I'm gonna gamble with my future, I'm gonna gamble with somebody that I know. And I know, and if I'm AP and that's Jaden Daniels, I know him. I know what
All
makes
right.
Okay. Okay.
Now,
Listen.
hold on, Papa Rundown. Hold on, because I want
Go
to
ahead.
follow up because that was an excellent he retorted and it was excellent. So
Me and this guy, yeah. See, we'll get into it. We'll get into it behind.
Rundown. Hold on, Papa Rundown, because I'm gonna give him a little bit more time. Rundown. Me and Chris Kimber had an epic show, man. Probably one of the most watched shows on both the Protect the Shield channel. If you guys want to check it out, it's the one that says late night with liver transplant, with late night with Raider transplant. I'm sorry. And then on the Captain Jack Rackham show, it was the trenches episode. And at the last segment, which we're almost getting near now, the last segment of that show, I started giving Chris some scenarios. Okay. And Chris Kimber on record. I'm keeping receipts, Turf. You know how us martial artists are. We keep receipts, baby.
Chrissy on you right now. What you about to say?
Chris Kimber said he wouldn't even trade. He said he might gamble 2 firsts, 2 seconds to go up. But right now that Justin Fields is gone, now we kind of know that Chicago needs a quarterback.
Yep.
Washington needs a quarterback because they traded Sam Howell.
Yep.
The Patriots need a quarterback too because all they got is Jacoby Brissett, unless Jacoby Brissett's going to be the bridge. So the price went up. So when I'm talking about price, I'm already going to throw it out right now, and I want to hear a rundown. The youth tell me what he's willing to gamble because it's definitely at the very least 3 number 1 picks. That's why a lot of people are talking about the Vikings picking up that extra pick so that they can move up.
Yeah.
But I think it's more than 3 picks. I think it's going to need to be something like 3 number 1s, 2 number 2s, and maybe a number 3 of some sort. How much rundown? What is your limit? What is your breaking point? I want him to give us a soliloquy on what he's willing to give up in order to go get that guy, Jaden Daniels. Go ahead, rundown.
I give up the 3. I give up the 3 first picks. I'm gonna do it because I've given this scenario on my show as well. We see what Minnesota's doing. Imagine they do it, right? Let's give this scenario as well. Imagine they give up the 3 first-round picks. They get Jaden Daniels. He's good. Are we all not going to be mad? Like, we could have just did that, bro. And at this point right now, we're a better team than Minnesota is. I think so. I think we're a better team than Minnesota. And if we were to acquire that, and it works, and this is what, because this is my thing. I think when everybody talks about trading the 3 picks or whatever the case, whatever picks it is, you automatically
go to three number 1s and 2 number 2s and a number 3. That's 6
and I think automatically people go to, oh my God, it's not going to work. Oh my God, that's a lot. But what if it works? Then does anybody care about these 3 first-round picks? Angelo, you just described to me a scenario where we did have 3 first-round picks, and none of them are on the team anymore. Josh is gone. They're all. So why do we care? With our first-round history, we shouldn't care about that. We should go ahead and say if this works, especially on this position, we're set. We're good. And that's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the positive side. I'm like, because if you trade up and it works, nobody cares about what you traded up for. No, at no point do we bring this back up again. That's all I'm saying.
Man, and this is what I like is see, you guys got the 2 generations. You got Papa Rundown, right? And then you got his son, who's a passionate Raider Nation Raider fan in the Raider Rundown, right? You got the 2 generations of Johnsons schooling us. I'm in the middle here because I'm in the middle, and I got some PTSD from them Maridovich days, and then Jamarcus Russell happened, and I'm like, whoa. And the guy that I was really kind of hoping is the one you talked about, Papa Rundown, Michael Penix. I was saying to myself, if he drops far enough, we could just maybe even trade up to the late first if we needed to go get a kid like Penix, and then we're kind of like hedging our bets a little bit, right? But Rundown gave us a very strong argument in that what do we care about these 6 picks that we might lose if Jaden Daniels is the guy? And so I want to give you final word on it, Papa Rundown. because you've been the king of fans for so long, how would you feel if we gave up 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and possibly a 3rd-round pick? That's 6 picks over the next 3 years just to go get the one kid. Go ahead, Papa Rundown.
Okay, well, honestly, based on, what I was saying about getting Penix at 13 was pretty much based off of, I don't think anyone's going to bite when it comes to making that trade. I think a lot of these teams are entrenched in what they want to do when it comes to drafting a quarterback. Chicago, Washington, and New England, you know what I mean? And some other teams are positioning themselves. So it's just going to be hard for us to try to make that move to get up there, because the position of quarterback is such high profile right now, more than any other time in the league. And so I just think that it's going to be difficult to get up there. And by what I was saying about Penix is, yeah, just like my son said, who's going to care if the guy pops? Same thing with Penix, right? Who's going to care if you picked him at 13 if he pops? Every one of these quarterbacks that's in this draft is a gamble. Every single one of them. We all know that. You know what I mean? But my thing is, when you're talking about drafting a quarterback, that's unlike any other position on the field. And if you hit on that, no matter what round you get him in, if you hit on that, then you moving. So I'm like, you know what? And we all can sit here and say, yeah, he had a bad game against Michigan. Okay. CJ Stroud, he didn't win a national championship last year. Excuse me. He had a bad game in one of those games in the tournament, the playoff. But you just don't throw all that out. You know what I mean? We've seen enough body of work on Penix. The guy's a superior arm talent. I know that for sure. Like I said, if you guys don't know who Warren Moon is, go check him out. But at the same time, I don't want to gamble and say, oh, well, maybe we can get him in the back of the 2nd round. Someone could be thinking, hey, we want to pick him before that. And if we feel like our roster is at a certain position, like I think it will, a 1st-round pick is not going to make or break us. I have a saying. I got a motto. I feel like Tyree Wilson is another 1st-round draft pick for us. I feel like I feel like next year is going to be the year he plays like a 1st-round draft pick. So I feel like we already got an ace in the hole.
Javon Curse. Go ahead, Papa Rundown. Tell everyone how you said he's the next Javon Curse. Go ahead.
You know what? If you guys go YouTube Javon Curse, look at the body style, look at the type. You know what I mean? Javon might have been a little bit more explosive off the snap, but they both play with the same power, the same leverage. Tyree got better as the year went on, and you started seeing him make some splash plays behind the line of scrimmage using athleticism and strength. He's working with Max all year. You know what I mean? I digress, but just watch out for Tyree Wilson on the side. That's a shout out to my guy. Watch out for Tyree Wilson. I've been calling him. So I feel like we got an ace in the hole with Tyree. So you know what, y'all? From what I'm saying, if we drafted Michael Penix with 13, I wouldn't be mad. I think he's better than Bo Nix. Spencer Rattler wouldn't be bad, maybe in the 3rd round, something like that. But, I could get on board with Michael Penix, man, because I know what my eyes saw, and I saw that man throw a pretty football. And I always say, people can be coached. People can get better. You don't just sit there and watch the one body of work, while the man's playing in college or wherever he's playing. And don't think that if he doesn't put the time and work in, he's going to get better. He's already got something that a lot of these kids coming out of school right now, these quarterbacks don't have. He's got an arm talent that's rival to anybody in the league. So let's just really kind of slow our brakes with, we make this pick, we're going to be in trouble. Look how many draft picks we've already wasted anyway. Hey, let's pick a quarterback in the 1st round if his talent deems so. If his medical's checked out, then why are we so upset about, he had injury history? Any one of these guys can go down at any time. If he goes to the combine and his medicals check out and this kid shows that kind of acumen, hey, man, let's get ourselves a quarterback, sit him down and let him watch Gardner and AOC and have them ready for the year after that if we need to. And I know you guys say, you want to play you want to play a 1st-round pick? Hey, sometimes it's good to learn, especially if you got ammo in the chamber.
If I can,
hold on. I am loving this guest thing. I wish we can go over. So I wanted Papa Rundown to have that final say, so everybody can say, and that way you guys can actually tune in to the Raider Rundown channel, listen to all this stuff, listen to the two of them go back and forth like Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless used to do back in the day, right? So I want to move on because I can't believe I'm cutting into that final segment, but I have from the beginning, like everybody here, like Chris Kimber saying, turf, I've been keeping receipts, man. And I've been saying we need to fix the right side. Right. I know I do realize we have Mumford, which I have heard several times in several shows that Rundown has said Mumford is good. So I'm going to believe him because he used to run behind these monsters. So I'm going to believe him. I'm going to trust him. And I know we got Dalton Wagner, but the tapes I saw on Dalton Wagner makes me feel like he will be a better pass blocker than he is someone who has fast enough feet than to run, to actually help us with the run. And running the ball is what we want to do, especially with the way AP wants to play the game, with defense, the way we need to just punch him in the mouth and just, it's like body work. It's like hitting him in the body. Like Kurt knows what I'm talking about when I'm saying like Roberto Duran working the body and Cesar Chavez Sr. working the body. So who do we got in the right side? Because I keep saying at number 13, and I'm even willing to trade up if I need to get Fuaga. If we don't address that right side, we're going to be hurting. And I heard like Rundown say Reisner, and then let's roll with Reisner and Mumford. But what are we doing? So let me start with Rundown. Rundown, what are we doing about that right side, my man? What are we doing?
If I'm going to be honest with you, I think they like Mumford, like I like Mumford. And this is something that anybody, you watch football for a minute and can attest to this, right? And this is how I knew I really, really liked Mumford last year. Last year solidified it for me. And it's going to be something so trivial. JJ running the ball. I forgot who was running the ball, right? They got tackled a little late. Usually, people walk away. Mumford's the only old lineman getting in somebody's face after the whistle after his running back got tackled late. When I see, and that's trivial, but when I see that and I see dudes like that block after the whistle, that tells me what I need to know. He's nasty. If I need to get in any altercation, or if it's one of them Chiefs games where we're not scoring and we need to get a yard, I'm going to bet on him because I know what time it is with him. He's going to give me that nasty on this one play, bro. And I know the whistle is not going to stop him. He going to drive him into the ground if he needs to. And I've seen Mumford do that a lot of times. So as a running back, right, if I was to say and watch film and run behind that, number, what's it, 77? If it's 70, no, I'm on him. Yeah, let's go. Like, I know what time it is. We need to get this yard, this 2 yard. That's the mentality. Because I can see it. That we're on the same accord. And I think our run game got better when he came in. And I think he added a mentality to the O-line as well when he came in.
All right. Now, Papa Rundown, how about you? Are you saying that's it then? We're done with the right side? We don't need to address it anymore? You're going to be happy with Dalton Wagner and Thayer Mumford?
I honestly kind of got a feeling that they might even try Wagner at guard. They might try Wagner at guard. You know what I mean? But I do believe in Mumford. Mumford was another one of the guys that I was high on when we drafted. I felt like, Mumford has a pedigree. You know what I mean? Like I was telling my son, I remember when we drafted him, I said, look, he's going up against some of the best DNs, in the Big Ten. He was going up against Chase Young. He was going up against Bosa. He was going up against Aiden Hutchinson. He was going up against Chase Winovich. All those guys he was going up against, and some of them other guys that's on some of those other teams in the Big Ten. And he held his own. You know what I mean? So he has a pedigree coming in from Ohio State. And I think, it took him maybe a year or two to kind of get himself positioned and understanding what to do at that NFL level. But all the talent's there. The kid has great feet. You know what I mean? So I think that's one of the reasons why they're not running out and overspending on guys right now. And believe me, I'm impatient as well. But I think we got more ammo on that offensive line than they're letting on. So they believe in Mumford.
Wow.
I do too.
Man, Papa Rundown, everybody's actually starting to convince me. All right, maybe if Fuaga's gone by number 13, let's not panic. So, okay, now I'm going to throw this one out because I'm very happy that we signed our own. We kept John Jenkins. He's going to be a great veteran presence on our trenches. And Chris Kimber was loving the Adam Butler. He talked about it on our trenches show 2 Sundays ago. You guys can look that up. So Adam Butler, John Jenkins, they're coming home. We got Christian Wilkins, who everybody was celebrating a lot. I mean, and again, you guys can watch the Raider Rundown show. They talk about it. You can watch the Captain Jack Rackham show. We talk about it. You can watch Protect the Shield show. Everybody's already talked about it. I don't want to. We get it. We love Christian Wilkins.
Yes, sir.
So if we are good at the trenches, if what Papa Rundown is saying and what the Raider Rundown is saying is, hey man, let's give Mumford a chance. We got the left side covered. We got Andre James back, which I'm a little scared of, but okay, sure. Everything's cool. I mean, even Rundown saying he'll run behind that line. That's what you're saying, right, Rundown? You will run behind Colton Miller. You'll run behind Colton Miller, Dylan Parham, Andre James, Thayer Mumford, and Dalton Wagner. That you will rock with that line. You will take them out to dinner if you're paid $40 million.
Continuity's good.
The right guard position is the question mark, but
which we can address it. We can get Zach Zinter like in the 3rd or the 4th.
Exactly. Okay? That's what I'm saying.
Now, guys, I'm not going to take credit for that. That's from my man Chris Kimber, Mr. Michigan himself. He tuned me into that one, so I'm not gonna. I don't like to take credit for something I didn't say, but I do like these people who were hating me for defending Aiden O'Connell. So then now I want to bring this up. Because one of our Raider Syndicate brothers out there, got his own show. I like it on Saturday mornings. Raider Nation Jason. Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Gotta shout him out. Shout him out,
man. Shout out.
I agree, Jason.
If what you're saying, Papa Rundown, or what you're saying, Raider Rundown, is true,
right,
then that means that we could use the number 13 pick or whatever we do with that first pick, where he's saying our true hole right now is cornerback. And I want to kind of address this because I wanted us to get Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson gets tagged. I wasn't interested in trading for Snead. Right. There wasn't really anyone else available. I mean, there were some like senior people. So I'm going to name 4 names, and maybe you guys know more that might be first rounders. Although I don't know, man. I don't like it, but okay. So there's Quinion Mitchell, Terrion Arnold.
Yep.
Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Yep.
Nate Wiggins. Okay. Yep. But I'm gonna let Rundown the youth speak on this first. Is it worth taking any one of those guys and taking a shot at them at number 13? Because I didn't see no Charles Woodson, but I'll let you go. Go ahead.
Now, your 4 is perfect. Those to me are the guys. You look at because you left one out. I like
the kid from Iowa.
Terrion Arnold.
Oh, you're talking about Cooper DeJean. I'm sorry.
Right. Quinion Mitchell, Nate Wiggins, Kool-Aid. Like these guys are cool. But I'm gonna be honest, I'm not picking them at 13. They don't give me the same feeling that I got last year with Christian Gonzalez and Devin Witherspoon. Now, last year, if we were at 13 and Gonzalez was slipping the way he was, no question in my mind. No question in my mind. Do that. But these guys don't give me that feeling. I don't know what it is, and I know a lot of people love Terrion Arnold as well. I think 13 is too high for these guys, in my opinion. If we're gonna let the Jaden Daniels dream die for sure, then I'd rather go get Marshawn Lattimore or Jair Alexander. That's what I would say. I'd rather go get those dudes and rock with that than try to do something at 13. Because honestly, as much as I already said I like Mumford, I still think that 13th pick should be used in the trenches. D-line. Even if you took Fuaga can play guard if he really wanted to. I'm not like, if he really wanted to, he can play guard. So you can slide him in the guard and still have Mumford out there, regardless if you wanted to, right? So I still think the 13th pick should be used on the trenches. Even D-line, I drafted D-lineman too.
You would take Byron Murphy at 13 before anyone else go gets him.
I like Jermaine Newton a little better, but just for the fact that we signed Christian Wilkins, yes, I would take Byron Murphy there at that point and make a monstrous D-line.
Now, Papa Rundown, how about you? Those 5 names, so I apologize. Yes, Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell, Terrion Arnold, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Nate Wiggins, the fastest man in the entire defensive back class. The guy ran a 4.28 or something like that. You know, but Papa Rundown, is there anyone? Because now when I go old school, I mean, I'm trying to match like Charles Woodson. He was the number 4 overall pick. I don't see no Charles Woodson in this draft, right?
No,
I don't see no Charles Woodson on this draft.
No.
But even, man, when I think about them old days, I mean, like the one that I always go to is kind of what Rundown talked about. We did make a trade for Mike Haynes. Mike Haynes shut people down.
Yes, sir.
I'm cool with that. But
look, Lester Hayes too. Don't sleep on Lester.
All right.
Don't sleep on Lester.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm hoping is we could have like a Lester Hayes, Mike Haynes type scenario with Jack Jones and someone else. Do you, Papa Rundown, see someone from the draft, or are you saying, nah, we got to figure out another way?
All right, well, check this out. First off, shout out to Tony Shepard, TS. Salute, man. I'll tell you this. Right now, yeah, my man that chimed in earlier and said, you know, cornerback number 2 is a need. It is, but I feel like, what are we doing with Ja'Cory and Bennett? Once again, you know, we ready to throw someone out when he don't get 10 interceptions as a rookie, right? You know, we drafted that kid last year. Can we get that man a chance to prove his worth? I will say we need to go out in the free agent market and sign us a nice veteran corner, which I think they're gonna do. But when it comes to the draft, the only thing about White is he's them ACL scare me with White. But when it comes to the draft, I'm gonna fortify those trenches even more. You know, I feel like if Byron Murphy II is there, because you signed Jenkins and you signed Butler to 1-year deals, man. You know what I mean? Like, you need a dude that's gonna be waiting in the wings to keep that D line fortified. Yep. You know, you snag Buddy on a rookie contract, man, and you know we can do work with that for years to come. He can learn under some good players too. And you can pair him with Tyree going forward. You got both them cats on rookie contracts. So if it's me, you know, I'm a smash on Byron Murphy. And even if we got Fuaga, you know what I mean, I wouldn't be upset at that either. So, you know, I'm gonna fortify the trenches, man. I'm gonna kind of see if I can fortify that cornerback spot through free agency and seeing what Ja'Cory and Bennett can do.
Yeah, man, y'all wake up the chat room. You guys you guys got so again, man, I wish I could extend this show even longer because so much great content, so many different things I want to bring up. I can't have you answer it. So please, guys, again, tune in to the Raider Rundown on his channel because I'd like to hear Papa Rundown's thought on what he felt when we got Chester McLaughlin, number 16 defensive tackle from Clemson back in 92, right? Like, yeah. But again, you know, I didn't want to, like, I feel bad sometimes that I bring up names that maybe run down because he didn't get to watch it, or, you know.
Yeah. Chester was dope.
So now I need to bring it up because I had this vision, I have this dream where if Fuaga were to drop, and I like that Rundown agrees that Fuaga would be good at 13. Mm-hmm. Nobody's getting mad. No. The reason why I felt like I was passing up on Byron Murphy, even if he was there, is because there is this kid that always falls in the second round every time I do a mock draft. And yes, everyone, I do them because it's fun to do. It's fun to do mock drafts. It's fun. So if you hating on people that are doing mock drafts, then you're not in the video game era. All right. Doing mock drafts are fun, right?
Atari 2600 for me. Atari 2600.
So for me, every time it goes to the second round, Papa Rundown, and I'm gonna say this to you too, Raider Rundown, Tavondre Sweat, man, I'm in love with the kid.
Oh,
second
man.
round,
yes, sir.
Number 44. I might have even traded up a little bit just to make sure I got
it. Without a doubt.
The reason why I was dreaming this dream of this big 370 pound man who could run the 40 and 5.2, but more importantly to me was that he ran the split in like 1.7, which is only 0.01 second off from Byron Murphy. This kid gets in there fast. He gets in there quick. But if
I
he
wouldn't be
eats up
opposed.
them body in the middle, and then we got Christian Wilkins to his left, Tyree Wilson to his right, we got Malcolm Kuntz, we got Max Crosby. That NASCAR is looking nasty. Talk to me, Papa Rundown. What do you think?
Hey, you know what, man? What you talking about? Getting him in the back of the first round, or
I'm talking, yeah, if I need to, but if he's falling, because a lot of people are panicking and they're going corner, and it gets to number 44, I'm like, I'm taking
I
this
don't.
guy.
You know what? I honestly don't think the kid will be there at 44. I don't think he'll be there at 44.
Speak to the people, Papa Rundown.
Yeah, he won't be there at 44, man. You don't get guys that big and can do the things that he does. You know what I mean? And he gets picked that late. Someone's going to be like, you know what? We need a dominant run stuffing. You know what I mean? Defensive tackle that can actually get upfield and get some pressure as well. Yeah, somebody's going to get that kick. Now, would I go back in the second? It depends on who I get in the first round. But would I go back up into the first round and the back of it to get him? I mean, yeah. You know, like I said, those guys look, you know, it might not be sexy now, but those guys look damn good when they putting pressure on Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we get caught up in what we're looking at right now and projections and what ESPN's saying and what these people are saying. But I try to picture us getting into the actual game. What are guys doing in the actual game, right? Yeah. And you can see a guy like that causing havoc. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to Tavondre Sweat.
I have to put this out. When you said the GA Patriot says Atari 2600 was it. If you know, you know. I actually had one of those in the Philippines with the joystick and the orange button.
Yes, sir. Pac-Man, Centipede.
Rundown. I'm going to give you final word on this. And then I'm gonna start to do my close. But I'd love for you and Papa Rundown to stick around in the green room I can talk to you guys a little bit about some of the stuff that I missed. And it'll be off live, but maybe you could use it for your show, the Raider Rundown, and then everybody could tune into that, and you and Papa Rundown can keep going on it. So, but go ahead, Rundown. Tell us what you're thinking.
Honestly, with Tavondre Sweat, I've talked about him a lot. That's a guy and my pops and I have talked about a lot. And to point out the fact is, I know we brought John Jenkins back, but brought him back on a 1-year deal. And he's a OG, to put it mildly, right? Like, he's long in the tooth. He's about to be 36, I believe, coming up this next season. What perfect guy to come in, learn behind a guy like John Jenkins, who plays that same very nose position, kind of the same size, really, right? But at the end of the day, what perfect guy to learn behind. Once Jenkins leave, we slide Tavondre in there quick, like, you know what I mean? And I think then you have your zero. Now you have your nose for the future, right? So now you have your nose, you have Tyree, you have Malcolm Kuntz, and then, you know what I mean, Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby are the OGs, are the veterans of it, but they still got years. So at the end of the day, I feel like it would be imperative for us to get a guy like that, because our interior is kind of old, right? Our interior is kind of old. You talk about Wilkins. Wilkins isn't a true nose, right? He's not a true zero.
Yeah, he's not really. He's 29, he's 29, but yeah, he's not a true nose.
Right. He's not a true nose. He plays the three, and then he goes to the outside sometimes or whatever the case, but he's not no true nose. Tavondre can be a true nose. And I think that'll be something that works. If I'm not mistaken, Patrick Graham has had guys like that in the past in his defense that plug up the middle like that, if I'm not with his defenses. So I think this would be a guy that'd be great.
Well, that's a great close. Thank you so much to the both of you. I want to thank Papa Rundown. I want to thank the Raider Rundown. This show was, believe me, guys, if I could do one of those Raider syndicates where you're talking for 4 hours, I would do it. I mean, I remember going on a show with Chris Kimber on the Protect the Shield podcast. Y'all got to do your research, go way back. But there's a 5.5 hour show in where I was telling a Raider Rundown. It was getting deep in that show. And in the last half hour, if you guys ever want to look it up, grown men were crying at the end of the show. It was getting so deep about life and death and what should really matter. And that's what I want to point out. When you have people like Papa Rundown, who's a generational fan, and then he turns his son into a generational fan. And now, you know, Raider Nation is growing. You know, it makes people like me who use the fact that Raider Nation is such a great community where we could all just be one. It doesn't matter if you're from LA, from Oakland, from New York. It just doesn't matter. And living as a liver transplant survivor, it definitely helps to have people like yourself, Papa Rundown, and the Raider Rundown to be a part of the nation. So I thank you both so much. Thank you to Captain Jack for continuing to give us this platform. Again, my final show. So I'm sorry to the Raider. There's a lot of people that's been asking Raider Transplant to do a show, and I'm telling you guys, man, what Rundown does and what Chris Kimber does at Protect the Shield, and what Turf does at the Ultimate Raider Rundown 32, and all of these people that got their own channels. I got to tell you, Papa Rundown, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot, and as fun as it can be. For now, it's much easier for me just to be a guest. You know, liver transplant recovery is a real thing. It's very difficult. There's a lot of ups and downs in that swing. So again, thank you both for the positive energy. Thank you to the chat room for the positive energy. I'm gonna end it out, and again, Raider Nation, man, holler.
Thank you, everybody.
Everybody, love y'all, man.